this is the man that like they they say that we should sympathize with or
Look
empathize
up
with.
to, look up
Yeah,
to.
this is a man that we should look up to, just because he has the same color of skin. And you know, I kind
He
of
really make light skinned dudes look bad, really.
well,
I'm
hey,
so serious.
I
Huh?
mean, well, you know, it's funny because most of the civil rights leaders were light skinned, like Rosa
And the Nation of
Parks.
Islam as well.
Yeah,
And there was some colorism in the Nation of Islam,
yep.
you know.
Malcolm X, um, Du Bois,
Farrakhan,
Farrakhan,
his
W.B.
father
Du
is
Bois.
Jewish.
I didn't know that.
Farrakhan.
I didn't know that his father was Jewish.
He
What's
plays music just like them too, like the Jewish people. Very, very, very talented when he plays the violin.
yeah, Elijah Muhammad? He was very light skinned.
Yeah,
Um,
Elijah Muhammad. I don't think he was black. And then the
Angela
original Muhammad Thord or whatever, the first one that started the whole Nation of Islam.
Farad or
Yes,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, he was.
It's like it's all a joke. It's just like I
well,
can't with these people.
I mean, it's that's what happens when you identify with skin color only. And you know the
Well,
Bible.
their skin color. How do you identify? They were lighter than light.
Yeah,
Elijah
I mean,
Muhammad and the what's his name, Elijah Thort or whatever from the 1920s or whatever.
yeah,
Like, how do you?
I don't. Hold on, let's since we educated, let's look that up. Um,
I'm
founder.
pronouncing it wrong, but I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Wallace Farad Muhammad. Yeah,
Yeah, well, him. Thank you.
yeah. It says that he was reportedly born in. It says 1877, founded the Nation of Islam. It says he arrived in Detroit with an ambiguous background and several aliases, and proselytized idiosyncratic Islamic teachings to the city's black population. This might have been he might have been a psyop. Like,
Yeah,
this,
I wouldn't doubt that.
like, jeez. But even Angela Davis, she's light skinned.
Yeah,
What's
and
what's
even Kathleen Cleaver, Eldridge Cleaver's wife. Like remember like those light skinned Black Panther women? They look white, but luckily they had an afro, so it gave them a little blackness. Like
yeah,
Angela Davis, Kathleen Eldridge. I mean, Kathleen Cleaver. Um, I don't
yeah,
know.
what's the name? Even now, like you got that fake black dude, Sean King. You got him.
Yeah,
You got Colin Kaepernick. You got Angela Rye. That annoying, unfunny comedian.
Amanda
Um,
Seals.
Amanda Seals.
Yeah,
Golly, yes. She's
she
like the most
blocked
mis.
me. I think she's a little bit of a psyop too because she blocked me or whatever. Like she was at that time when they was trying to do the governor recall in California when Larry Elder was running and she was speaking against Larry Elder. She was also pushing the vaccine and she was speaking with high regards to Governor Gavin Newsom. But it's like you're supposed to be this pro-black chick or whatever. So why are you speaking so highly of Governor Gavin Newsom? So I called her out, whatever. She looked through my pictures and she was like, oh, you're posing sideways with your ass sticking out and like she's like really looking at my pictures. And then by the time I'm like trying to reply to her, she had already blocked me. But Amanda Seals, I call her a fake Angela Davis. I'm actually happy you brought her up. She's a fake. I actually wonder, like, is her name put together like Amanda Seals, Bobby Seals, and she reminds me of Angela Davis. Like she reminds me of a fake Black Panther, Amanda
They're
Seals.
all they're all fake. They're all
Already
fake.
themselves, but
Yeah,
I'm
they're
saying
not.
her in the here and
Yeah,
now. I think
yeah.
and Amanda Seals is like I call her Angela Davis wannabe.
Yeah, all these people are not. They're cartoon characters to me. They're not real. I don't know. I don't know if you seen. I don't know if you like kung fu movies, but like Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, Jim Kelly. He said. He said you come straight out of a comic book, and most of these people are comic book characters. Like college,
Exactly, Baba Yaga. He says she's a feminist. Yeah, definitely. Amanda Seales is definitely a feminist. She's the new era Angela Davis,
she
without a question.
I don't even know if she's a feminist. I think she's just a sexually frustrated, just a sexually frustrated misfit that can't get her way. Like she tried to get that dude Myron Rowe caught up, talking about he assaulted her. He was that former NFL player turned neurosurgeon. Try to put the code red on him. Like that was so low. She tried to ruin that
Yeah,
man's
so
life.
that's also a feminist tendency. I'd say she's a feminist like overall. Plants, right? Yeah.
I don't
I think
know.
she's a plant. Like I want like her name is Amanda Seals, Bobby Seals, and then she acts like Angela Davis. I really think she's like a current Black Panther, a
I
feminist.
think she I think she just wants attention.
Well, that
And
too.
most of these people do. They just want attention. Like
And
especially
similar to the Black Panther, she's one of those, oh, I have my bachelor's degree and I was in college. Like, and you know, like Huey P. Newton had his bachelor's degree, but then he later on went for his doctorate or whatever. Um, these are all people that got their degrees, went to school, and you can't tell them shit. Oh, I have a degree, da 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 da, but they're like communists. And it's
yeah.
just like, you know what? I have to ask you. Like, you know how they have this thing with, because Black people should look up to the Black Panthers and everything like that. What do you think about the FBI and the Black Panthers? Do you think it's the FBI's fault that the Black Panthers became dismantled
I think that they would have been dismantled anyway. They would
because
have
of themselves?
yeah,
It's not, yeah,
they would have imploded, but they were too much of a threat to the they were too much of a threat to the republic, and you know for to radicalize so many people. I mean, we're seeing that now. We're seeing the disillusion of society because so many young people are becoming radicalized, and I pretty much blame the parents. Parents are supposed to guard their children from becoming radicalized, and they haven't. A lot of parents of our generation, they let the TV raise us, and I don't know. It's really just it's really it's really I don't know. I don't know.
when you really think, speaking of radicalized and the Black Panthers, when you go down this rabbit hole and we take things back, the crimes that they were doing, like Ashada Shakur with the New Jersey Turnpike, when she killed the officer and then she ended up escaping, like escaping prison for that, going into exile in Cuba. Uh, and then you think about, like you just mentioned a little while ago with Huey P. Newton shooting a cop in Oakland. Eldridge Cleaver, on a separate case, also shot a cop in Oakland as well. And when you really think about it, like, how we see whatever's going on today with the police and people, like the Black community, so to speak, a lot of people are getting away with murder. They're getting away with a lot of things. And so were the Black Panthers. And that's why we compare it to BLM, or why I can actually compare it to BLM now at this stage in my life, because it's the same shit. It's the same degenerate behavior, and they don't have to deal with the consequences for their actions. And are you familiar with Richard Aoki?
I I began to read about him because he sent me his information, but
Hmm.
I just got too busy. But like, I mean,
So
what?
he's the Japanese affiliate of the Black Panthers, and he supplied them with guns. So he's Japanese. He's from Oakland. His parents were interns during World War II in the 1940s. So he's out there living in Oakland or whatever at the time. Um, and when he was going to college and Berkeley College and everything like that, he was meeting up with Bobby Sills and Huey P. Newton in the mid 1960s. So he met up with them and everything like that. And talking about communism and stuff and the mentality that Huey P. Newton has, um, with this guy, Richard Aoki, he studied about Marxism, and he, was learning about yeah, Karl Marx himself and everything like that. And I'm not going to blame him for putting those thoughts into Bobby Seals and Huey P. Newton, because Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seals, they were going to do whatever they was going to do anyways. So even so much to where he was supplying them with guns, he was there. He was a man of many hats. He was an educated guy. He was in the army. He also, being that he's Japanese, he was down with the Asian American. Um, when he was when he was a teenager, he was down with the gang, but then he was also down with the Asian American Association or whatever out there in Oakland, California. But it was to a point where Huey P. Newton asked Richard, he was like, hey, you're down with us, right? With the Black Panthers. And even Richard Aoki had said to him, he's like, but hey, I'm not black, I'm Japanese. So you talk about Huey P. Newton being a communist. He was like, but yeah, but we relate. We're all one, because we as Black Americans have our struggles, but you as Asians and everybody else, you guys have your struggles as well. So we're all one and we're all related because we all struggle equally. And that's what the Black Panthers were doing at that time, because even over there in Oakland, Huey P. Newton and the Panthers, they weren't only appealing to Black people, but they were spreading that ideology to the Latino Americans and the Asian Americans as well. So he kind of sucked Richard Aoki in with that. Like, even though Richard's like, hey, I'm Japanese American. Meanwhile, you guys are Black American. But he sucked him in with the communist ideology. But yeah, like, we're all one. We all have the same struggle at the hands of white people. So he actually like indulged into that and continue supplying them with ammo and everything like that. And you can say that he was a part of the Black Panthers. So much with the FBI. Yes, the FBI was doing a lot of infiltration with the Black Panthers. They did it with the Nation of Islam as well. We can't deny that or whatever. But there was this guy, Bergie Threadgill. He had told this guy, Seth Rosenfeld, he was like, hey, I got this guy, Richard Aoki. He's an informant of the Black Panthers. And I remember when I seen this a few years ago, like, I'm just looking into it, and I'm hearing the recorded conversation or whatever, and I could just tell, like, in a quick 1 or 2 minutes, when this guy Seth is talking to Richard Aoki trying to get information out of him, Richard was just like, "Oh yeah, really? Is that what happened? Oh," like, he was asking Richard, does he know about the guy Bergie, who told him about him to begin with, saying that he's an informant. So when they were actually talking to this guy Richard, he was just kind of laughing and throwing their questions back at them. So in like 1 or 2 minutes, I already knew, like, there is no recording of him snitching. He's not a snitch. He didn't cooperate. I mean, you could say he's a Marxist, you could say he's a communist, and all these things, which were actually true, but he did not cooperate and throw the Black Panthers under the bus. Richard Aoki himself, like, he was actually solid. He stood on whatever he believed, right? So it was so much to where Seth Rosenfeld went on to sue the FBI, because he's like, you guys put me onto this case to see this guy's an informant, which will open up a can of worms, and I can see all the activities of the Black Panthers, of how they're here in Oakland and how they connect with the other sectors of the Black Panther members. But there was nothing. He didn't snitch. The guy, he didn't snitch. So it's like, but then you have someone like William O'Neill on the Chicago sector that snitched on Fred Hampton. Like, yeah, he snitched.
Was
So it's
William
like, hmm?
was William O'Neill black?
Yes.
Ah, no, I'm playing. I'm playing.
That's what and thanks for mentioning that, because that's what I'm saying. They're trying to make it like, oh, Richard Aoki is this Japanese guy. Oh, what's the Black Panthers to him? Of course he cooperated. But no, he didn't. He didn't cooperate. But William O'Neill threw Fred Hampton under the bus over there in Chicago. And that's just only one person. There were a lot of Black Panther, like the Black males and the Black Panthers, that were informers, that were throwing their own under the bus. So to this day, they try to make it like, oh, Richard Aoki, former Black Panther, but he's an informant. No, he's not an informant. He's not an informant. So it's just, so going into the FBI, did the FBI break down the Black Panthers? The Black Panthers broke down the Black Panthers. And when you just read what you were just reading about Huey P. Newton alone, like, look at the degeneracy and the evilness that he's doing. Like, he raped Bobby Seals, he raped Eldridge Cleaver. I didn't know that part about it. And not only that, he was having gay relations with white men as well, Huey P. Newton. And It's just, and he was speaking for gay rights. So that's why I'm saying that it took me years to get here to even put BLM and Black Panthers in the same category. But hypothetically speaking, if Huey P. Newton was still alive, he would have been right there with BLM and LGBT and feminism and all that. He would have been speaking for the LGBT movement because that's what he did back in his prime, and it's the same difference.
Yeah, I'm just at the point where I'm just like everything labeled black is Marxist, and it's really sad too because that's what the youth identify with, and it's really, I think it really puts a hindrance on your spiritual development. The comments are coming in. I couldn't address
Yes,
all of them at
Huey P.
one time.
Newton was gay. He
Yeah.
didn't even
He,
reproduce.
he
He didn't
was he
even
was
have his. He didn't even have his own children.
I would say that he was a pansexual. He just got down with anything. He
Yeah, he
wasn't.
just.
Gay means that you just inclined to the same sex, but he probably would get down with a tree if if if
Exactly.
need be. But
He probably was having sex with like Black Panthers,
yeah, yeah,
like the actual animals.
yeah, but I think that the thing is, I think that black people we've never really as a whole assimilated. And I don't know if that's because of the color of our skin or what, but it's like the Italians, the Irish, and all them. You look at an Italian or Irish man, I'm like, man, he's white. Like, I'm Italian. I'm like, that means you're from the factory, as far as I'm concerned, but you're still white. So, and then they say, oh, he's not white, he's Jewish. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, he's white. Like, dude got blonde hair, blue eyes. Well, it's a little curly. I'm like, but he's still white. Like, what do you mean? So, but my point is, like, all these other ethnicities or whatnot, they assimilated into being just Americans. And I
I
think
agree
I
because,
think
like, if you talk about like a Haitian, Ethiopian, Jamaican, they're not going to just say, "Oh, they're black." It tends to get very specific and separated as per culture, as per country. But you're right. Usually, typically, with let's say like a white person is born here, American, and then you have the white people from the UK or Scandinavia, and then the Russians and the Germans, and oh, they're white collectively. So I agree with you. You're right.
yeah, and I think that that's kind of like that's not good for the nation because a nation is not defined by borders. It's defined by collective ideas and mores and principles and whatnot. So of course you have your subcultures within a nation, but it's like those cultures still are like, well, this is our nation. We got to defend our house. And I think you know the representative sample of black people, not black people as a whole. I think the people that are representative of black people, they have totally rejected the notion of being American. So instead of American, you're anything but that. So to be American is to be like a colonist or white supremacist and or a sellout and all that. And I'm just like, well, what are you then? I'm black. I'm like, well, what country is black? Black is not a country. Black has no language or it's not a nation or whatnot. So I'm just like, well, I mean, go start a nation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's how you want to get down, I mean, that's how these white folks got down. They had beef with the king, and they're like, okay, well, cool, we'll start our own nation. Well, go start your own nation. But these niggas will rather destroy what's been built, and that's I don't want to say that's feminine, but
Kind of is. It's very emotional and very impulsive.
what I when I okay, so like females are very females consume. You know that's why if you're gonna be a head of a household, you have to be productive, because when you have a wife, just by virtue of how she's built, she's gonna consume resources, but it's necessary because she brings forth life, and so she needs something to for her body to sustain that life that she's bringing forth, and then once she brings forth that life, she nurtures that life and brings it up to age to where it's strong enough to sustain itself. So we talk about like consuming and just I'm not gonna say
And black
destroying.
people are over here messing up the fruits and everything that's given to them.
Yeah, just I'm just saying like you just to say that we need to redo the founding documents. Like I was working with a young lady the other day, and she was like, we need to redo the founding documents, and I was like, why? She was just like, we just need to. It doesn't work, and I was trying to explain to her how the founding documents are anti-tyrannical. They um they keep tyrants from rising up. Because like if one man has power, the thing about that is like, okay, so you tear down the Constitution, you rip it to shreds. That's going to create a power vacuum. Now the person with the biggest gun is going to rise to power, and you really see a man's character when he has power. You give a righteous man power. He may rule righteously, or the power may corrupt him. You give a wicked man power, he's gonna be wicked to the bone. So it's like you don't ever want power concentrated. That's the whole point of being a citizen, rather than being a subject of of a of a royal sovereign. You have a king, and then everybody is subject to the king. Whereas in our nation, we have citizens where everybody's subject to the law of the land. But in turn, we're all sovereign. The law of the land is the highest authority, but we're all sovereign people, meaning that everything we have is subject to us. We control the fruits of our labor. We don't we're not under the authority of somebody. And that's the thing that that's the tactics that these politicians. I'm not even going to say Democrats, because Republicans do it too. When we start talking about taxing, when you start taxing people, you're basically telling them what you produced is not yours. So you worked hard, you busted your ass, you produced it, and I'm gonna take my cut, nigga. What you gonna do? So
Yeah,
that's
literally.
that's what's going on. And this thing about taxation, that's why history is so important. Real history that is pertinent to our everyday lives. We didn't always have a system where we were taxed for everything. Taxation is extortion. Taxation is tyranny. And if you don't pay your taxes, then they're gonna throw you in jail. And taxes, like I said on the last slide, it violates the Fourth Amendment. They're not supposed to take anything from you or confiscate anything. Um, if you don't break any kind of law or anything like that. So I don't know. It's we grow up. I was born in '86, so this is all I know. All I know is taxes. I came of age, and I graduated from high school in '05. So this is all I know. So I don't know any kind of reality outside of this framework. But if you look at history, you you read how people lived and how society was ran, and people weren't just paying taxes, but in turn, people were more responsible for their their own welfare. It's kind of like the whole health insurance thing. Like what made me really hate Barack Obama was the whole healthcare thing, because healthcare is one of the issues
Obamacare.
that that I care. Healthcare is something I care about, and you know if our healthcare system was actually healthcare and not just disease management or disease causation, I wouldn't mind paying $15 a month, so so people would have, a little bit of healthcare. I wouldn't mind that, as long as it's voluntary. And I think if you make things voluntary, then people would be more inclined,
Because they
to
know
do
what
it.
they're signing up for
Yeah, but
consensually.
rather, you're forcing people to pay into a system that doesn't that is kind of like it's a misnomer from beginning. Healthcare, no, it's disease management, and it's disease management and disease causation. It's like it's like it's like a woman is on his menopause, right? She hits menopause, and they give her estradiol. Estradiol makes her symptoms worse. Estradiol is carcinogenic, whereas they should be giving her progesterone. Progesterone is the youth hormone. It's the female hormone. It's what makes y'all young and fun. It what makes y'all smell good and all that. But they'll give her estradiol. They'll make her hot flashes worse. She'll be like a real bitch, and she'll be destroying everything and everybody she comes in contact with because she's cranky as hell. So these are things that our healthcare system does, and instead of really evolving, they'd rather just keep the public ignorant. And you have women. I had a friend back in the day, and I was arguing against Obamacare, and she was like, "Well, some women need birth control." I'm like, you need birth control? Like, birth control is gonna make you infertile. She was like, well, what about if I don't want to get pregnant? I'm like, well, stop having sex. I'm like, duh. You know what I'm saying? Like she's like, okay, well, I have irregular cycles. I'm like, then your hormones are messed up. Adding adding like a synthetic endocrine disruptor is not going to make you better. It's going to make you worse. But they don't teach people these basic things because ignorance is a billion-dollar industry. So I don't know. It's just a lot. Like Obama was. I don't know anything he did good. Like I just I don't know. Like he's the man's. Anyway, you got anything to add to that?
Well, he gave out Obama phones.
I didn't get no phone. I I mean my. The one bill I hate paying is my phone bill and my internet bill. I hate paying those bills, but whatever. I wish we can go back to like 1990 when everybody didn't have a phone.
The real world, right?
Yeah, where everybody was, where you had to talk to people, where you had to instead of asking for a girl's social media, you have to like ask for her phone number.
Put in the work.
Yeah, you gotta like actually like muster up some courage to go talk to somebody, but instead, like, nope, not today. Obama is what made me interested in politics. He was a real wake up call. Yeah, but anyway. All right, so what we got next? Angela Davis.
Yeah, I know you wanted to get into the lesbianism of the Black woman in the Panthers, which I always found interesting as well. I remember I wanted to do a video. Uh, I didn't get around to doing it, but I was going to title it Black Lesbianism is Always the Result of Lack of Leadership for Black Men. So that pretty much goes into the Black Panthers would be one sector of that, and Angela Davis and the other woman or whatever. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, you pop your shit first.
Um, I know with Angela Davis, you could kind of tell, like when you look back in hindsight, you could tell she was a lesbian. But then, she ended up getting married to this guy, like late 70s, early 80s. She ended up getting married probably for like 3 years.
Was he
But
white?
then,
Was
huh?
he white?
No, he was black. He was actually dark skinned.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that was probably like on Front Street, like she's the light skinned, power for the people, black people. And then,
Well,
she gets married. Hmm?
light skinned women like dark skinned. Yeah, I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
yeah, I don't know.
I
Like
don't know
most,
if that was a facade, like he was just a beard, or you know, not only for her sexuality, but she's light skinned and he's dark skinned and she's a Black Panther, so it kind of fit her narrative. But that marriage only lasted for 3 years. But yeah, but these past couple of 2 decades or so, she's been happy living with a woman. She's a lesbian.
you out there mowing lawns and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think of that, like the lesbianism in Black Panthers? And I'm sure it was happening outside of, like, not to say that a woman had to necessarily be a Black Panther, um, but I know heavy with the feminist movement, even though it intermingles with Black Panthers, there were Black lesbian women. Some of them were messing with white women, and all these things were going on late 60s, 70s, and stuff like that. So, what is your knowledge to that, or what do you think of that?
Well, I can only speak to I can only speak to my anecdotal experiences, and one thing I know about that lifestyle is that um, you can only radicalize a person that's broken, and many of those many people that practice that lifestyle have some kind of extreme trauma in their childhood that they never dealt with. So they're really victims, and when they grow up, they're trying to cope somehow with that type of with that trauma that happened, and then you have some person that is a predator comes and just say, hey, this is how you are, just go ahead and come on to this side, it's okay. I don't know if you've seen Higher Learning with Omar
Yes.
Epps and Tyler Banks,
Mm-hmm. Tyra
but
Banks.
yeah, you remember that white girl that got assaulted at the beginning, or at the first, what they call the stanza or whatever. But that lesbian chick, she came in and she saw that she was vulnerable. She came in and took advantage of that. And you know, if you look at all these people now that are in these movements, none of them have any joy in life. None of them. A lot of them join these movements so they can have some kind of purpose. And there are a lot of people that have been sexually violated as children. That is very rampant in this society, and nobody saying anything about it. But the only way that you can get over something like that is, if you have a strong spiritual framework. If you're very rooted in the Word of God, and that's why organizations like the Panthers, they're anti-God, because they feed on people's traumas. They people that are traumatized, people that are going through something. One of the worst traumas that humans feel is loneliness, being alone. I'm not seen. So you have a sense of hopelessness. So then you have some slick talking dude coming, hey baby, I see what you're going through. Come on over with me. I put you on the stroll. Daddy loves you and all that. So and then the woman just wanting to have some kind of like love. She clings to the man. The man beats her, but at the same time he's indoctrinating her. This is what the Panthers were doing. They're a bunch of gangsters and pimps. You what does rap music glorify? Gangsters
Same.
and pimps. You know what I'm saying? So as far as the particulars of the Panthers, I do know. I was reading an excerpt. Golly, I should have saved it. Should have bookmarked it. But there was one of the leaders, of the Panthers. She was saying how one of the guys had beat one of the women into a coma. They beat her so bad she was in the hospital, and that's how a lot of this lesbianism started, like coming into the movement. They basically
The
turned them.
lesbianism mixed with the feminism, just emotional reaction and trauma.
Well, I think the trauma led to the feminism. I think feminism is kind of like feminism is lashing out of
Coping mechanism.
it's a coping mechanism to the lack of male love, or the male, the
Guidance and
male, the
leadership.
nah, not that, but like if a man, if you're a victim to some man, then I think that feminism is kind of like it's a response to that. It's kind of like what I was saying earlier. Never give people bullets to shoot you with. So a woman is abused by a man, and then she becomes a feminist. She's like, all the men I ever trusted betrayed me. So now I'm only a feminist, and feminism is the gateway into lesbianism. So there's gonna be a lot of there's gonna be the mental health industry is gonna be booming in the next 15 years, because our like us, like people in our age group are going to be like 50 years old, and the women are going to be past their childbearing years, and they're going to be lonely without children, without a husband, and what else are they going to do? They're going to resort to to chemical coping mechanisms. So I don't know. And I think that this can change. I think that stuff like what we're doing, I think it's good, because I think that we have what it takes to save our generation. People need to start getting married, start having more children, start prospering. You know, that's what life is all about. Passing on not just your genes, but your values onto the next generation. And I think that everybody takes joy in that. There's a huge joy in just giving, and I think that a lot of young women were duped into believing that life is all about them. Everything is about you hear stuff like you hear stuff you hear things like women will break up their relationships. They'll be like, well, like Tio Mowry, yeah. Well, what about my happiness? I just wanted to be happy and shit like that. And I'm just like, look, life is not all peaches, roses, unicorns, and fairies. There are gonna be times in your life where you have to weather these storms, but that's
Isn't
life.
it so crazy how her and Tamara like are living polar opposites? Like Tamara has the whole she's married, she has her children, living beautifully. Um, and Tia just she seems lonely.
Tia,
The way she posts her statuses and everything like that, and even to where it goes to the shade room and she's replying back to the fans and oh, I'm not going back to him or, going back to my marriage. I left it for a reason. Why go back to something? She does a lot of thirst trap stuff, Tia. It's just funny how even just let alone Tia and Tamara, they're really different.
yeah, yeah,
It's
and,
like
and
one of them is a liberal and one of them is conservative as being twins.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, Leatherface, Tia is worldly. That's
Tia,
correct.
Tia needs to stop posting thirst traps, because like
Yes.
she not built like that. Like, she bad built. Um, she just she's just like what they say, cringe. Like,
Yeah.
she be dancing. She be dancing. I'm like, you got no kind of like real. I don't know. Like, just, like
It's
I
like
mean, she not
when
a
you look at them too, like for instance, they just posted up pictures today. They were at some type of award or gala or something like that yesterday. Uh, Tamara had on like this nice red dress, and Tia had on like a suit, and it kind of just I was like, wow, like Tia is looking older, and Tamara is looking younger. And don't get me wrong, when I grew up, just like everyone else that grew up watching Sister Sister, it's funny like the way that they played those roles. come to find out, it's really the opposite of who they are in real life.
Yeah,
But that just goes to show you, I only interpret that as they have really good acting skills. They were pretty much acting like each other in the show.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then it's,
That's
you
good
know, which I
observation.
think that's pretty cool, just, for what it is. But when you look at them now, Tamara's all about her husband, she's all about her children. And Tia was like that, but it just wasn't sustainable for her. And now that Tia
No,
has
she
been
was.
single, what, for almost two
No,
years?
she wasn't. She wasn't like that on the show. You remember?
Well, oh, when they did the reality show with the two sisters later on, like,
No, on Sister Sister. Remember when they were in college and
yes,
Tia was dating
Tyreek.
Tyreek,
Mm-hmm.
and then Tia fell in love with a professor that was married.
That's true.
Then,
Yeah,
then she tried to go back to Tyreek, and he was like,
yeah,
"Nah, like don't
yeah.
come back." So, I don't know, but I,
But yeah,
I,
Tia is starting in real life right now. Like she's aging, and she's with the whole hot girl summer,
she,
black girl magic, those
she,
kind of things.
she's
Tia
in
is with all of that.
she's in the Sister Girl Mafia.
Exactly,
Those
exactly.
those chicks age quickly.
And
You know they
Tamara isn't.
yeah. Tamara's married to a white man, so she can't be in the mafia. She can't be in the Sister Girl Mafia. But I don't
It's
know.
funny because I remember there was like, I don't know, they had a gathering. It was, the whole family, the siblings, um and everybody was shocked that when Tia and Tamara, when both of them were dancing or whatever, people were shocked that Tamara had more rhythm than Tia. It's just the way the black community comes at them, just because Tamara has a white husband and Tia had a black husband, it automatically made it to where Tia is the favorite sister. And it's just, again, this goes into the toxicity of black culture. It's really whack. It's corny.
Yeah, like I don't like those stereotypes. You know, like you know, like the whole dancing stereotype of black people. Like all black people can dance. All black people cannot dance. Like it's like all black people can't play basketball. Like, it's just and all white people are not like nerdy and talk like this. Like
And
those
kind of like you said a few weeks ago in one of our lives, you said that that's brought on by the up north people, right?
yeah,
Like in
yeah,
this
those
south, you guys aren't really doing that type
we
of.
we just everybody's country down here. Like we just
Yeah,
country. Like y'all,
yeah.
them New York cats, all that yo son and you know word to mother yo and God and all that. Like y'all, that's I don't know about all that. Like
That's why I
I'm
love the South. When I go to the South, and this is just my experience, like I don't even think about color and stuff. I just get along with everybody in the South,
yes,
whatever southern state I've been to.
yeah
So
Southern hospitality is a real thing. Like I will say that it's a real thing. But I mean they're liberal people down here. I mean the city I'm in like it's purple. Like
how do you feel about like New Yorkers and Cali and everybody coming down there? Like I want to call it North washing. I don't like that. And mind you, I'm a New England girl, tri-state chick, but I don't like the idea of northern people north washing the South, whether it's the Carolinas, whether it's Georgia, Florida, Texas, whatever state that may be, Tennessee. Um,
I think that
it's immigration within
I mean
America.
I think okay, so I feel two ways about that. I think that the people moving, they're trying to get away from the environment they came from. So the Tamara is the conservative twin. I think that
Yeah,
adds that.
Tamara is the
But
conservative twin.
but what's it called? The people that are moving here, they're trying to get away from
They're
that
fleeing
environment.
communism
Yeah, so they're
within America.
yeah. You say send them. The only my issue is like they're making the housing prices go up, and
Yeah, definitely.
it's causing more traffic. But
Yes.
other than that, I think that we need to stop with this whole thing about let California and New York burn because they're still America, and
Yeah.
and those are some of, California is one of the most beautiful states, like, landscaping wise. They got mountains, they got the sea right next to it,
The longest
and
palm trees. It's
yeah,
so beautiful.
and if we just let the communists take it over, they get all those resources, and
That's it.
yeah, and then now we got a communist country sandwiching us, and then we got New York on this side sandwiching us, and that's why I don't necessarily like what our governor's doing, flying those immigrants to these sanctuary cities. I think that he needs to just send them back to their country, but maybe deportation is a federal thing, and maybe he doesn't have the authority to send them back. But I mean, the federal government is breaking the rules anyway, so like, why don't we all just break the rules? But I think that
Yeah, he's saying like if you guys like when he sent them to Martha's Vineyard and whatever, like if you Democrats or liberals in your blue zone areas want to sit there and promote immigration, okay, I'm gonna send them up to you.
yeah, and
And
that's
then what it's doing is actually waking up people like in Chicago, New York, even the black community, and they're like, oh no, 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 we can't handle this. So now it's like, what are we gonna do moving forward? Now that you guys see what people were warning you about, you guys kept calling everybody racist. We weren't being racist. We're just telling you you have to look at this immigration situation as if somebody's coming into your yard. Would you want all these people just coming into your yard, and are you going to just take them in and let them live in your house, like literally? And that's why I'm saying, like, Talib Kweli, he blocked me during that time. I think it was DeSantis he sent the immigrants over to Kamala Harris's house or something. Because I know between Gregory Abbott and DeSantis, they've been, like you said, they've been sending these immigrants up north. And Talib Kweli was calling me a coon and all types of things, and ended up blocking me because I'm like, no, this is wrong. And we were
Tyler
just
Quality.
going back at it, back and forth and stuff. And I don't know.
Tyler Quality's lame.
Yeah,
Like
it's funny because I used to love Talib Kweli and Most Def and
high
you know,
tech
huh?
and high tech. His DJ.
Which one is that?
His
That's his
DJ.
DJ.
Yeah.
I
You don't remember
whatever
that
that
song?
group. What's it? What's the Star? Black Star?
Black
That's what
Star.
they're
That's
called.
the most
Yeah,
deaf.
Black Star. I
Yeah.
used to, because that's how I used to be or whatever. So
I used to
I used
like that
to
song, The Blast.
the blast.
Yeah,
I used to
yeah,
love to get by it to be free. I want my people to be free by Most Def.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that I mean we are free. It's just these niggas need to free their mind. Like these niggas